So now that we've reviewed the transaction and we need to attach our file or note into QuickBooks, let's look at what's involved in doing that. So if I click on this particular step, you'll see that we start with a QuickBooks Online as our action. Our action event is attach file or note, which is in this list here. Tell them what QuickBooks account this is going to be for. So I've got that information already entered. My attachment type is file or note. We're going to use file. Entity is going to be what? It's going to be either an invoice, bill, item, or journal entry. There is no expense, which is why we're using bill instead of expense for our credit card entries and checks, things like that we know we're going to have written, that we want these attachments added to automatically. All right, so we're going to use bill. And then entity ID is actually the transaction ID. And we're going to click on this custom, and you're going to see what that is. So you can only get that entity ID from your create bill step in QuickBooks. So click on that. It's going to usually be that first item on here is your ID. That's your transaction ID. So you want to click on that to add it. You're going to include on send. You want to basically telling it to send the attachment right away when you hit send. And then you need to tell it what type of file. Now the problem with this is this is going to go in the attachment section of your bill. The problem with it right now is it is an actual email. So remember when we started this, it could either be a PDF attachment or it could be an email. That's what the download URL is going to show. If it's an email, it will not attach to QuickBooks. So we're going to have to take another step or two in order to get it into QuickBooks. And so this is going to necessitate the addition of a path. And so this is going to eliminate this step right here. We're going to show you what we're going to replace that with. All right, so we have a path. So if I click on this, you're going to see what we have. So in one option, if it's a PDF attachment on the left side, and on the right side, it's going to handle it differently if it's an email attachment. So the first thing it needs to do in the path conditions is determine whether or not the download URL ends with a PDF, or does it end with an EML. So I can see right now I goofed up here because this needs to change, otherwise it's not going to work right. So let's go back here and edit this. There we go. Text ends with .pdf. All right, and continue. And I can tell you, if I retest the filter, it'll tell you that it's not right. Now, in this case, it isn't right. It should be an EML. So what's going to happen is it's going to go through here and say, okay, this doesn't work, so it's not going to attach this document into QuickBooks. And this is basically what I showed you a few minutes ago, what it would attach into QuickBooks. And so because it's an EML, it would go through the steps and try to send it, but it's just not going to send anything. The attachment section would be empty. All right. So once this doesn't work, it just stops. It's not going to continue anymore past this path step. Only if it succeeds would it go to the next step. So because that path didn't work, it's going to look at the other path and say, okay, the download URL ends with a .eml. I just typed this in, so there's nothing magical about this. And then if that's true, so let's hit continue and test it. We test the filter, it is true, okay? Then we're gonna add one more piece of software to the list, and yes, it does come at a cost. There's no way to get documents converted to PDF for free, unless you're doing it yourself, and even at that point, the reality is this isn't free. So PDF.co, I think costs about $10 a month. In order to run it, is a monthly charge, that's the minimum. That allows you to convert any number of items into a PDF. So basically, let's walk through the steps. So once you set up an account with PDF.co, the action event is going to be anything to PDF converter. There's lots of different things you can do here. I haven't gotten into much of them, but anything to PDF converter is the one you want. Your account that you just created, that's another app that you've added to your Zapier arsenal. So you have that, and hit continue. And then this is critical. So the input format is URL to message or email message. So this will convert your email message into a PDF file. All right, so you have to select this option for it to work. Source file is that download URL. And in the file name, you can plug in whatever you want. You can hand type Vimeo, you can whatever. But in this case, since we have multiple vendors that we're using, it's a good idea to use the information from your bill that you created for the file name, okay? So I just took the vendor reference name, the transaction date, and the total amount. And for the custom profile, you can ignore that. So I'm going to hit continue, and I'm going to retest the step. And when it's done, it will create a PDF file. All right, and there's the download URL, or not the download URL, but this is the PDF.co URL. So it's a long one. So it successfully did that. So then we can continue to the last step, which is now to attach the PDF.co PDF to our QuickBooks bill. All right, so We're going to look at the configure. The only thing different here is we're not using the download URL from Airparser. We're using the output from our anything PDF converter in PDF.co step. So click on that, and there's that URL right there. I'm going to click on that. All right. And now we're going to hit continue, and we're going to retest the step. And if all works well, we now have an attachment in that document. All right, so let's go out to QuickBooks, and we're going to pull that transaction again right here. And there we go. So you'll see two, because I actually had one that I did a little bit ago, so it duplicated it, but there we go. If I click on that, you'll see our download link. So you have your documentation right there in your transaction. All right. So once we know that works, we can just publish it. So again, you'll make sure you name it, and then you publish it. In this case, I'm republishing it. So I'm gonna hit cancel. A shortcut to versions of your Zapiers is you can rename, hit Control-C to copy your name, hit publish, put your version name, same name as the Zapier itself, and then just put the next version 2 in this case, for this particular Zap. All right. So while that's doing that, I'm going to go back over, and now you have there's two Zaps working for you. One is monitoring your test folder in Outlook for any new transactions, and then you have this one that is actually recording the transactions as they come in. To the extent you get new vendors, I'd recommend coming out here and adding that to your QuickBooks note or your vendor notes section, because this is the document that it's going to monitor. It's going to look at to determine what the vendor ID is, and also the general ledger account ID that you want to use. So I would, in Coefficient, make sure I have my QuickBooks vendor tab and my QuickBooks account tab out. And so it's going to take a bit of work to get that all kind of set up out front. But once you do, then you're just monitoring for errors, and it's really not as time consuming after that, and you do gain your time back. So probably for the cost of about $1,500 a year, if it makes sense to you, you can essentially automate all of the bill pay side of your business finances. So if you have any questions with that, or you need some assistance in some of the steps with this process, I'd be happy to help you. We're going to have our link to my help with QuickBooks Online automation in Calendly. So that link's going to be provided here, and I'd love to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.